Okay. Okay, folks. So anyone like to say anything about how their dream time is coming along? Any questions about that? We can go into that for a little bit. And whatever else you would like to share about how it is that you are merging the non-ordinary into the ordinary these days. Anybody?
I'm not remembering as many dreams since we've been talking about it.
Okay. Yes.
Hi, Fran. Hi, everybody. This is Susan. I had a pretty interesting dream.
Yes.
It was like it was like two parts. I'll try. I'll be brief. The first one, I was like riding above this on this really high tractor, and I just seemed to be very aware of the sky, and then I was up pretty high, which was kind of strange for me. I've never been on a tractor. And then a little bit later, I think it was the same night, I dreamt. I looked up in the sky again, and I saw this giant eagle coming down, and he had in his claws, it was kind of funny. He had this looked like a cushion, but it was a stop sign, but it was like a pillow cushion. Mm-hmm. And I was aware of myself in the dream, looking at the eagle and saying, "Well, that's a sign," which is kind of funny. And then up in the sky, another little acrobat came down, and I was like, "Whoa!" It was kind of cool.
You remember that those dreams, such as the one you've just graciously shared with us, those are all symbols of yourself.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
and remember nice. The language. Yeah. Where remember the language of dreams is symbols. Mm-hmm. And that the two categories that are mostly seen in dream time are those of the daily review, just what's gone through during the day, and guidance for you. And remember, that's all in symbols. So when you have a dream like that, and that you obviously consciously recall it, look to that to know what that is telling you, that you're becoming more and more conscious, you're becoming more and more aware of the non-ordinary. So look at a dream like that. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we encourage everyone to either write down their dreams or to record them. Now, I know when you wake up in the morning, unless you do that right away, they can tend to fade away. So we encourage that you either immediately write it down or record it upon awakening. And if you want to do it in the night, do it in the night, and then go back to sleep. But at least you have that, because then later in the day when you are awake, you can either play it back or read it, but read it from your perceptual thinking rather than your lower self thinking. The perceptual thinking is where it is you are merging the non-ordinary, that higher perceptual primal self, guiding the lower self to know what truly is being said or meant. That goes beyond the stories, so you don't get lost in the lower self stories and looking for categories and points of reference. So that's very good. Anyone else? Remember mostly, folks, this is number one, is that every bit of work that you do in anything that is of the higher teachings, whether it's in this path or any other path of light, in higher teachings, don't think about it. Don't take it on as information. Know it to be what it is, perceptual guidance. You are getting true higher guidance. But if immediately you look to it as to information, you're not going to take that embodiment on. You know, I will work with people in private appointments, in private private work. And it's important that it's understood this is not counseling. This is not therapy. This is no conversation. We are working at the energetic. That's why whatever happens is felt so deeply in your core. So it's important to know that whether it's your dreams or just you're going through your daily life and you get a flash of something, know it to be what it is. Don't immediately think about it and try to categorize it or try to look for the right or wrong way to understand. Just know it to be, it is what it is. If you can put that as part of your foundation, it is what it is, that can help you to stay out of the stories of that lower self. Really, really important. As far as the dream work, it takes time to fully be a conscious dreamer and one who can step into his or her dreams and actively work with them within dream time. It takes time. But if you're working at it, it makes it very difficult because that goes through the lower self that's looking for the right way to do things. So, and importantly, we're human, at least for the rest of this life. So we can get better at it. So just know it from that. And in any time you have that feeling of, well, you did it wrong again or you're not doing it right, know it's your lower self trying to keep itself in that illusion of safety. Just say, okay, relax, I got this. So, anything more before we get into the teachings of this evening?
I just feel like I've had some great help with this work because at least I'm not having fearful dreams. I'm not remembering as much because usually the ones I remember are the ones that are very scary. So I've been more peaceful.
Okay, but remember that is that when what seems to be scary dreams or nightmares, this is just unfinished business that has taken on some fear form. So in your dream, however scary or nightmarish as it appears, don't engage the fear of it. Just know it for what it is. You're being given the sacred gift to transmute that heavy energy, that fear into light. Ah, I see that. Okay, it's got there's nothing in that. It can't hurt me. That's an illusion. And in that minute, in that second that you do that, you have transformed it in your dream, and the energetic is creating itself anew. So don't run away from those things. Okay. You know, we would like to say that, you know, everything in life is all rosy and peaceful and all of that. Realistically, we know it's not. Right. So what do we do with it? Do we jump into the fear about it? No, we see it for what it is. Okay, what can I gain? What am I being given? What teaching am I being given of this? Instead of getting caught up into what a rotten situation this is. Without going into that, you can mute the calls here for a moment there, Joseph.
All right.
Without going into details, this weekend I had an unpleasant situation. Now, I could have jumped right into that lower self and feel all battered and victim-y and all those other things. I said, no. I saw it for what it was and what the whole situation was about. Saw it clearly, knowing it well. Now, here's a teaching about anger. Anger is a primal sense. Its intent is simply to keep you safe, to get you out of danger. Only when it goes through the story-laden belief of the lower self does it become that heavy, icky feeling about it. So when this situation came up and anger came up, it went through the primal sense. It was very clear. It held the boundaries very clear, very well, and would not permit any kind of toxin to overcross boundaries. Made it very clear. That's an important teaching for everybody. It's essential. Only when it goes through the lower self anger of the stories, the beliefs, all the personal, does it become toxic. There's the thing about that if you throw poison at something else, it's going to splash back at you too. That can only happen when it becomes personal. We choose our engagements consciously and carefully. And in that way, it stays out of the personal. And in very many ways, you're saying, I see you. I choose this, rather than what everything else is around you trying to choose for you. Very important teaching. What I got today is, as you very likely all of you know, is every Monday I ask the Sacred Ones of Light, show me what are the teachings for this evening. What I got was this, something that I call the basics, and something called the Warrior of Light's Code. These are very important, and you can take notes if you like, and I should also offer to you, if any of you would like to get a copy of this and we have your email, it can be sent to you. You can give that information to Joseph, and he can make sure, if you know you're on our mailing list, just send me an email and say, please send me this. At any rate, we'll get it to you. The basics. Okay. I'm going to ask you to open the phones for a moment because it'd be good to have some little interaction here, and then we'll go into this as they come along. You can open the phones, Joseph.
Very good.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question, and any of you can answer yes, you know what it is, or no, you don't know what it is, or maybe part of it you know it. Okay? All right. If I say to you, the 4 C's of discipline, anybody know what that is? Anybody?
No.
The 4 C's of discipline. We got 1 no.
No.
2 no's.
No.
I don't remember all 4.
3. Okay. Well, here we go.
Consciousness, control, containment, and compassion.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it.
Very good. Okay. The 4 C's of discipline, yes. Consciousness, that simply means that you are fully aware of what it is you are going to do. Contain, that's creating a sacred container for whatever your intent is. Control means that you are consciously controlling what goes into that container and what does not. And the whole container, all of that, your intent, the container that you are creating must be woven with compassion and filled with it. This is vital. Otherwise, it can run the risk of becoming personal and stepping over a line into sorcery. What does any of that say to you, folks? And I should say this to you. This is something that is not only when you are in formal sacred work, but in your everyday life. As long as whatever it is you do does not serve you only, but serves all in some way, then so be it. Anyone say anything about that? Okay. The next part of the basics. Okay, we've got some noise going on in the background. Okay, Joseph, you can mute the lines, please. Ken?
Yep, I got it.
Okay. The next part of the basics is the intent, the will, and the word. The intent, the thought or desire to do or create a thing consciously. The will, the force that gathers the energy to make it so. The word is that which makes it so. Consider this. You want to do something, and you're going to do it through the 4 C's of discipline. It's going to serve the greater good, not only you. Could be anything, Got to get that loaf of bread. Doesn't serve only you and yours, but it serves people who are selling the bread and the people that make the bread, and it goes way beyond just having bread for your breakfast. Okay. The intent. The will, the force that gathers the energy. And the word. The intent, the will, and the word, when we use this in sacred ceremony, makes a thing so. We see this when we work something that is of the ancient Inca in his work today, and some of you may already know about this. It's called despacho. A despacho is a sacred ceremony. For those of you who don't know what a despacho is, it is an offering, a gifting, made generally on paper, although it can be on cloth. Different substances of the earth go on there. It could be flowers, it could be sugars, it could be beans, it could be rice, it could be any number of earth items go on there. So the intent of the despacho is, why are you creating it? To bring abundance. Okay, very good. The will is the gathering all that will go into that despacho. Your will is calling to the Pachamama, to the sacred ones of light, what serves in this gifting that we are to do. That's gathering it. And at the energetic, it is weaving that container, even in the moment as you're gathering your will. The word is what makes it so. But when you pick up that handful of sugar and blow your intent into that lump of sugar becomes essential sweetness. The word, and in that would be your breath, in some form that intent and the will is brought through the word, the form that's being used to make it so. So when that lump of sugar goes into the despacho, it has become essential sweetness. Some of you have been in despacho ceremonies with me or perhaps with others, and you know this. You know this to be so. So be very aware that once you have awakened and have become conscious, you cannot really ever become unconscious again. And there's no purpose to do that. So with the 4 C's of discipline, being aware of intent, the will, and the word, everything becomes more simple. There's no looking through the lower self archives for the points of reference of what would be proper or best for this, because you know. Now with that comes center, ground, shield. Some of you already know what that is, some of you don't. Center, the place of stillness within you. This is the place where you can meditate in. This is within you. This is the peace that is within you wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it is within you. Ground, the connection with the Pachamama, the Mother Earth. When we say center and ground, you are sourcing through your center stillness, and the Pachamama is the ground, her belly, her breast, holding you. Shield, the energy that creates the boundary. We say center, ground, shield. And in that way, you are creating a container, a sacred container that permits, by your intent, your will, what it comes in, what does not. And again, this must not be done personal, as you would have it, but rather what serves us all. Right? What I do for myself, I do for the greater good, not because it serves me only, but because it serves us all. Now, I know that's a lot right there, so I'm going to ask you to open the phones just for a few minutes, and like to hear from any of you if you have questions, or anything that you feel about this, what you just get about this, before we go on to the rest of this. Let me know when they're open.
We're open.
Okay. Okay, folks, what about all that?
When you said, this is Susan again, when you said it goes over into sorcery, I immediately felt like, do you mean like the ego almost? Or you're opening yourself to other forces that...
Okay. Well, sorcery is certainly about personal power. Mm-hmm. So ego would certainly be a word that serves for that.
Okay. Very good. And what about the word? I was taking notes and I wasn't sure. Now, did you say that's your breath and your intent, your word?
The intent, the will, and the word. The intent is the thought or desire to do or create a thing.
Okay.
The will is the force that gathers the energy to make it so. The word is what releases that intent that is now gathered through the will to make it so. It releases it into form.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. No, I'm not going to give you a pop quiz when we're done here. You're safe on that. No. Okay. How about center, ground, shield? Anything about that? No? Oh, yes.
How about shield? I mean, I understand you center, you find yourself the stillness, and then you ground yourself with Mother Earth. And I mean, the shield is like an actual physical thing, or
the energy that creates a boundary. When you are in a place of being centered and grounded, you are in a place of what we would say perfect eine, or reciprocity, perfect balance. So in that way, the flow, if one were to see it energetically, one would see a almost like an elliptical flowing both around and within, from the Pachamama and beyond, around that person or that place or thing. So when one calls on a shield, it strengthens that because you're doing it consciously. Say you're in a situation that feels not good. It just feels like there's all sorts of things being thrown about. Center ground shield, it deflects that.
Well, that's great. Powerful.
It's very powerful. Many of us who are conscious have found that it's difficult to be in places where there's lots of people. Let's say a shopping mall, for example, especially during the holiday season. There's all sorts of things being thrown about there. But by doing this, it doesn't touch you because you're not taking it on personally. You're not taking it on at all. You're keeping your intent. Your intent is intact. You're in the 4 C's of discipline: conscious, contain, control, compassion, and just going about doing whatever you're going to do. And it does make it simple and vast relief. So as we go on with this, these are all the basics. It helps. Think your way through the entire thought, from before its beginning and after the end. What does that mean? Any of you get an idea of what that means? Sense of that? Think your way through the entire thought, from before its beginning and after its end. Remember, this is all, we're all working from a higher perceptual primal self. So we're merging the non-ordinary into the ordinary. Any idea what that's saying?
It allows you to see the impact of the thought.
Yes. Because you've perceived it before it comes to be. Very often one can get caught up in the immediacy or the wanting to see what's going to happen and not seeing the ripple effect that it can affect. It can actually happen. Thinking your way through the entire thought from before its beginning until after its end changes that. And that is merging the non-ordinary into the ordinary. Okay, the next one. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, folks, but I also know you can take it. That's what I got. When I got this today, as I bring this, I was thinking about other things, and I got, no, just do this. Okay, so here we are. And I know, because I've been guided to know, and I do see it, that y'all getting this. Some way, somehow, it's helping you. Okay, the next one. Don't do anything if you're not sure what you're doing. Just simply don't do it. Okay, now we're talking about, yes, that is in ordinary ways too, trying to tough things out and found out, I really should have gotten help with that. I shouldn't have done that, But we're talking about with that one, particularly when you're working in any kind of higher work, because you're working purely at the energetic before form, whatever it is that you are working comes to be instantly. So if you're not sure, don't do it. If there's even this, and that goes with thinking your way through the entire thought. There's a little niggle in there that says, I'm not sure, well, maybe it's this way, maybe that. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Much better. And that goes with ask for help if you're not clear about anything. Okay, now that's where the lower self might come in and say, oh, yeah, but, you're supposed to figure it out on your own. Who said? Who said? If you need the help, ask for it. We're all in this together, folks. We're all in IU. That's what IUs do. We're here for and with each other. Simply ask. And don't assume that people are mind readers. Ask. Okay, now here's one. I've met lots of people that really don't like this one.
Mm-hmm.
Stay grounded by staying in your body and in the present moment. Well, the present moment stinks. I don't like this. I don't like that. Well, then what can you do to change it? Like not wanting to be in your body will get nothing done. Stay present. Stay in your body. When the energetic guidance comes, the physical body becomes the physical legs to get it done. And if you're not in your body, how are you going to get it done? It's really, really rather nice, actually. Okay. Now, I'd like to hear from any of you in this next one to tell me if you know what this means. Within to without, not without to within. Within to without, not without to within. Anybody?
To me, that would mean something, or like what I see is basically like creating something from within you to without you, rather than having the outside create what's inside you. But
you're close. You're right here. Yeah. Anybody else?
It goes back to being contained and having the consciousness, the four C's, and within that container, when you are fully intact and perceiving, everything is there from the in the inside.
Yes. Joseph and Kathy are on the right track here. When we say within, we are listening to the higher perceptual primal guidance. We're not looking for the answers outside of ourselves, because we're already being given the guidance of how to go about things. Not looking for other people to tell us the without, to tell us how to do things, because we already know. I know someone, when I've asked her, how do you feel? She'll say she doesn't know. Is it too hot in here? I don't know. Are you hot? Okay. So used to looking to the without outside of herself, the without for the answers, she's lost touch with what she feels within herself, the within. So be aware of that. And that, again, is merging the non-ordinary with the ordinary. Okay. It's not about you, and it's not about power. Don't take things personally, and don't take things through personal filters. Okay, we brought this into the teaching some last week, and we'll continue a little bit about that. When things happen, and you find yourself in a situation, and you find yourself wanting to go personal on it, take the moment to go within, to see, perceive if there's any part of that that is yours. And if it is, then you stepping in, taking responsibility for whatever that is, clears it. It's real easy to go about and saying, oh, it's all about everyone else, not about me. That's not true. Okay? So real important. That's, again, merging the non-ordinary into the ordinary. So have a look at you. At when something is thrown at you, take a look at it and see if there is any part of that that is yours. The rest, return to the sender with love and compassion. Thank you. I looked at this. I took this little part because I know it's mine, but the rest is yours. And I send it back to you. Thank you. All right, and how about this? Phrases such as, I'm not ready. I guess it's not the time yet because whatever didn't happen. How about those? From time to time, that can be true. And other times, it's simply a cop-out. Do not step in when you know you have to. You see, and how do you know the difference? You know that old, familiar, uneasy feeling you get in your belly? You know that little chattering, that the what-ifs, the should-ifs, and what could happen? That all goes with that, to give you the supposedly justifiable excuse not to do a thing. Okay, so be real clear about that. When something comes up and you know to do it, and then when that lower self steps in and says, well, not yet. It's not, you're not ready for that yet. Or you're not supposed to do that yet because it just isn't the time. Know it to be a cop-out and say, okay, we're doing it anyway. The only way the energetic guidance becomes a physical reality is by becoming the physical legs to get it done, even when you don't want to. I'll give you this little story. Some years ago, there was some gathering happening, and my lower self just didn't want to go. Just didn't want to go. No, don't want to go. Don't want to go. Got this to do. I'm too tired. I'm this, and all the usual excuses. So now I'm packing. I don't want to go, but I'm packing. Now I'm in the car. I'm driving. I don't want to go. Now we're at the place. I don't want to be here. And I just don't want to be here. And now I'm signing in. I'm not very happy about this. I don't want to be here. Okay. Then I go into the place where lunch was. Still not happy about this whole thing. And I sit down at a table. And I'm having lunch. And a woman, one of the native elders of this country, she came over. And asked if she could sit down. I said, sure, of course. So she sat down, and we're having our lunches, and she looked at me, and she handed me a piece of straw. And she said to me, put this in your mesa. And at that, she stood up and walked away. How did she know I have a mesa? Everything got very clear and very quick. If I had listened to my lower self kvetch about all this, I would have not gained that very sacred and special gift. So what about that, folks?
Well, what do you feel the straw represented to you?
Okay, well, that was not that. That was something that was of hers, that her way of gifting.
Oh, all right.
But the fact that she knew I had a mesa, how would she know that?
Your energy?
Yeah. Yes. She saw it. She saw it. Remember, what is your mesa? It's the physical manifestation of your energetic body. She saw it. So why did I tell you that story? How does it go into the teachings of this call this evening, this cloth of creation?
We need to be aware of the energies around us to try and see, or just to see the energy. To understand the energy?
To just be it, to know it,
Mm-hmm.
to embody it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyone else?
And also to move and like if you hadn't been obedient and hadn't fought off the voices saying all the reasons why you should go, and it was so much all the way up to the point you got there and signed in, you still didn't want to be there. But look what you would have missed if you had have listened to your lower self.
Yes.
So by you not listening, you were in tune to what was to happen, which was for your greater good.
And everyone else's. So everyone, have a look. Every one of you, have a look. How often has it been that you knew you were supposed to do something, and you let your lower self get in the way and prevent you from doing it for all supposedly justifiable reasons? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. When we are complete tonight, this all goes with you. And again, remember, this can all be sent to you by email. So you'll have a copy of it if you'd like. But okay, now the last one of these basics is don't go where you're not invited. What does that mean? What that means that if somebody asks you to do anything with them, maybe do a reading or to do something that requires you to go to look to their within, you must have express permission from that person to do it. Otherwise, you're intruding. Sometimes when I'm working with somebody or I'm giving a reading or something, somebody will ask about someone else they know, and it has to be said to them that unless there's express permission, I can't do that. That's intruding.
Well then, okay, is this separate from what a psychic would do? I mean,
Okay, the word psychic is really a very misused word. So what I would say is rather someone who can see beyond the ordinary and give guidance based on what that person intuits. We could say that. So it applies to everyone. Everyone. Anybody who actively steps in to be a vessel and a guide of light, and to be someone who's going to give guidance in whatever form, yes, these basics apply to everyone. See, there's something called what I would call the general broadcast. And that's what everyone is, that's just floating in the etheric. That's information, or I would say that's something about that person or people that everybody can feel, even the unconscious can feel. It's when you go beyond that to say, oh, yeah, but why does he feel like that? Now you're going where unless that person has said, yes, you can have a look, you can't go. That's within. Anything about any of this, folks? I know it's a lot. And that's why I'd love to hear your comments, your conversation about this. Because we can gain from each other. We can help each other. Anybody?
Well, what you were saying about, you need to have the permission from somebody before you give them a reading, which is, I guess it's like psychic spying otherwise or something.
Well, that's one way to put it. That's good.
But what about like distance healing? That wouldn't be under the same. Like if you're sending healing without perhaps them knowing about it. That's not the same thing, right?
That's a little bit different. Okay. And let's bring that into this. That's a good point to bring up here. If somebody says to you that, somebody's sick, can you send them some healing? Mm-hmm. All that you can do is send it in this way. I ask that healing be sent to so-and-so. It is by your will. You are the sacred ones of light. I am only asking. Mm-hmm. That steps you right out of the personal. That steps it right out of you, all about you and what you would want to have, as you would have it for the person. And it permits all that is the free will and what is to be with that person to happen. Okay. And that keeps it clean. Okay. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
How would you say it again? I'm sorry, because I'm trying to write it down. I asked that.
Okay. Whatever it is, it's healing or whatever you're being asked of. And we'll use healing just as the example here. I ask that healing be sent to whoever the person is. It is by your will, you who are the sacred ones of light, I am only asking. You see, otherwise, it can turn into a coercion. From time to time throughout the years, I've had people say to me, come to me and say that they really like somebody. And they would really like maybe to get that person to turn their way. And I won't do that. And I will tell the person flat out, no. But it's about love. But it's about bringing two people in love. Step back. No. If that person is to look your way, he or she will do it through natural free will. Any way else, it's coercion. It is as you would have it, not as what that person will. If you two are to come together in the natural flow, so it will happen in that way.
Is it possible to feel that person's energy or to somehow know if they feel a positive way toward you?
Well, sure. That's the basic energetics. That's being conscious. That's being out of the personal. That's being out of the lower self. By perceiving through the higher perceptual primal self what is. Not as you would have it, but as it is. It is what it is.
Okay, even if you're not near that person?
Let me just complete this.
Yes.
Is that because all is energetic, all is the natural flow of energy, the physical presence is not necessary because it's all felt perceived at the energetic. So, whether you're in the same room or half a world away, the bottom line is, if there is to be the natural meeting of your paths, it will be felt. It will be clean. It will be simple. It simply will be. And it will be known. Anything else is through the lower self-personal wishing to be it as that person would have it, not as what goes with the natural flow. A warrior of light follows the natural flow, never coercing another against the natural flow of that one's path. Anything about that, folks?
That makes complete sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I've heard from time to time from people who, I think of one person who had gone to some kind of an event, and she said that the person who was having it, she didn't like as soon as she walked in the room. And as she watched what was happening, she could feel the hooks, the energetic hooks, the coercions that were happening. So be very, very clear before, like that in the one basic, right? Don't do anything if you're not sure what you're doing. Think your way through the entire thought. Not about you, it never was. Not about power. Not about power, it never was. So the warrior of light, a guide of light, a vessel of light. Many people say, yeah, it's wonderful, to be conscious, vessel of light, to be able to step in and help people, to be the healer, to be the guide. And there are those that also say, when they come to realize that part of being a vessel of light is to be a warrior of light when called to do so, don't like that. Warrior of light is a beautiful, extraordinary, special thing. And I'm going to read you some codes here, if you will. And perhaps when these are completed, you might see it's not what your lower self-physical mind might want to make it sound like, being a warrior of light. Warrior of light walks in well-being. Warrior of light walks needing no defense, giving no offense. A warrior of light has no fear. A warrior of light is prepared for when the need arises, but does not create the need. A warrior of light is fully present and mindful of others and him or herself. A warrior of light knows it's not about him or her, and it never was. A warrior of light takes the work seriously, but does not take him or herself seriously at all. A warrior of light might fall over him or herself, but never the work. A warrior of light's intent is of impeccability. A warrior of light never loses control because he or she never had it in the first place. A warrior of light a warrior of light follows the natural flow, never coercing another against the natural flow of that one's path. A warrior of light walks his or her talk and talks his or her walk. What about that, folks?
I could relate to a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. What about these folks? These basics, these codes. Let's get a conversation going here. What each and every one of you is perceiving now. Because you're going to be helping each other, yourselves, and all those who eventually listen to this. And even if they don't, the energetic is vibrating, resonating with every moment, even as we speak.
The part about not intruding is very important. I always feel that with people. I do not want to intrude.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. There are people that do that and don't realize they are, but you can feel it because it's a very subtle feeling, just like a subtle push.
Which also
I like the sense of freedom it gives you too. Like I like the part about the control. You're not in control anyway, so sort of gives you more freedom. Gives you maybe a sense of freedom.
It does. It does. Only the lower self wants such strict control, and it does it through its beliefs and its stories, and that's all illusion. So this comes with boundaries. When you are that higher perceptual primal self, that vessel of light, warrior of light, if you will, you have set a boundary. Those are the 4 C's of discipline. This is not control. It's just simply, it is what it is. Yes, and you are right. It's a vast relief, and the freedom that comes with that, because you don't have to work at it so hard.
Right.
Got the rest of you. Anybody?
Allowing each person to follow their natural path does not always mean that it can be disconcerting, or the path is not always the path that you would want for them, but it is their path. It's not up to me or any of us to determine what that path is.
That's right. The best that you can do is assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that sort of just reminds me of Taoism in a way, and just sort of reminds me of not, coercing someone. Is just sort of the natural flow of whatever is there is going on all the time simultaneously, and whatever personal entanglement you put in it, that's your own stuff. But the flow and the just sort of natural balance of what's there is basically what needs to be connected with, rather than the hooks about it. And it's going on all the time simultaneously. It's not a matter of like logically getting to that point because it's always there, and it's always going to be there. It's just a matter of aligning with it and staying in tune with it.
Yes. Yes. Yes, indeed. Many people, when they're children and into teenage years, are being told they should go in a certain direction for career choices. And that person knows that he or she really doesn't want to do that, but other people are telling them that's what they should do, so they go and do it. They don't like it, and eventually end up leaving it. That's going to the without instead of listening to the within and saying no. Now, the guides, in that case parents, people around them at that time, if those persons were more conscious and out of the personal, they would clearly perceive that's not a career for him. This one is. How about you just ask him, what would you like to do? Okay. Being the guide of light is seeing all that's around that. That's thinking through the entire thought again. You see how all these basics weave in to just everyday, ordinary life? Yeah. So if the child is saying that he or she wants to do something, the guides, the parents, the teachers around that child, if they were conscious and could perceive, they would help that child to develop into full conscious knowledge of knowing if that is so or not. So when that child comes to a point where those kinds of decisions have to be made, that child can do it freely, and knowing that he or she is well supported. How would that change things, folks?
It's usually the other way around, and a lot of the times the kid doesn't even know what they want.
That's what we're saying. So how would it be if it were this way?
There'd be a lot more happy people.
And the good news about it is that this is happening more and more. It is happening more and more. And that's wonderful to know that. And how do we assist that? We assist that by being the guides and vessels of light that we are, and always in our everyday, ordinary lives, keep raising that up to the non-ordinary, so that the non-ordinary and the ordinary merge. Even when we're in grumpy, pissy moods, even when everything is just a grumble, it's okay. Be in a state of gratitude in any case. It works. Well, I know we're getting close to the close of our gathering this evening. What, if any of you, would like to bring in before we do close for the evening? Anyone would like to bring in what he or she has gained, come to know about the teachings that were given this evening?
Well, I would say more into the teachings I've gained, and basically what I'm working on in my life is just basically at a subtle level to not take things on through a personal engagement. That is to say, when, like say at work or something like that, someone may be very, very angry and toxic with me, which I've been dealing with the past week at work. And I've just learned to not take that on. And it's hard if you see someone every day and they're just caught up in that, and it's hard not to take it on and to get caught up in it too. But in a way, I'm learning from the experience every day, and it's a teaching experience to learn to not take these things on and to not let them overtake me. And it's a blessing and a curse. So I'm working through it.
Right, but it's not about you. It never was. So if that person is choosing to live in a toxic way, and you perceive it, and you can say, I see you, flying high, soaring high beyond that, it may be that the guidance can be given to you, that one word, that one sentence, that one little move can change that whole engagement.
Yeah,
but you can only do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my experience is very similar to his, almost identical this past week with chaos. Yeah. But but it was more about the work than any people around me. The work was chaotic, but in facing it and getting through it, I just kept seeing how much I learned from it.
Mm-hmm. There you are.
It was really a positive thing. I feel like I've learned more about my job even through that experience.
And that friends, is the gift. When you go beyond the personal lower self stories and beliefs and points of reference and all that stuff, and soar through the higher perceptual primal self, you know what you know. It is what it is. And the weightiness of all that other stuff is not there. You don't have to work so hard at being who and what you are. Only when you go through the lower self does all those stories about the roles and the identities that you are supposed to be make it so much heavier. Excellent. How about the rest of you? Now, I know that we have been journeying and seeing the K-Pacha. Instead of actually journeying, I'm going to ask you all in the moment to center and ground, perceive. Okay. Center and ground, perceive the energetic itself. What you perceive of what is happening even in this moment, creating at the energetic because of the work that we've all done this evening and all others throughout the world and beyond. What do you perceive? Feel it. Know it. You who are the sacred ones of light, guide us. Help us to perceive and see through the eyes of the sacred ones. Show us so that we may see beyond the heaviness of the story of the humans that we are, to perceive, to feel, to sense. Escape out to this force of creation. What do you perceive, folks? What have you seen?
A lifting of some of the heaviness, a thinning of it.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
There's a sense that there's many others here.
Mm-hmm. Infinite. Infinite. Anyone else before we come to a close? Okay. We will continue on. Yes. Anyone? We will continue on with teachings as these calls continue to evolve. And I will say to you that if any of you have anything that you would like to ask about or bring out or have brought into these calls, please tell us. Please let us know. You can send an email. You can, when the calls begin, bring it out. Because that's how it evolves. That's how it moves. That's how the course of creation weaves and weaves anew. And if any of you would like to have the Warrior of Light's code or the basics, please let us know. Send us an email, and we'll send it to you. So let us thank the Sacred Ones of Light. So, Psyche, Hapun Wilke Oida Kocha, Hapun Wilke Pachamama, Hapun Wilke Inti Taita, Hapun Wilke Mamikila, Hapun Wilke Apukunya, Hapun Wilka Munai. Hapun Wilka Punchai. Hatun Wilka Kanchai. Hatun Wilka Same. Munai. We thank you, you who are the sacred ones of light. You who are the sacred mountains, Mother Moon, Father Sun. You who are the quintessence of love, of light, of life. All that is of the light, we thank you for your guidance and your help this evening and guiding us so sweetly and strongly. We have felt your gentle strength and love with us. We ask that you continue to be with us and all others. And we do ask that all those human and non-human who are being held in horrible situations, we do ask your help and your guidance to extract them swiftly from those horrible situations and put into places of light, peace, protection, health, healing, guidance, gentleness, kindness, compassion, and understanding. We thank you. Thank you all, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fran.
And we will see you next week.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.